AM, their staff, or management, but are strictly those of the hosts, guests, and callers.
Causer santé,
Show communautaire.
Show Paola,
Chaque samedi, 11h du matin, tape
sous radio WSLF 1580 AM, 99.5 FM, avec Hana of Florida.
Pas oublier, faire santé une priorité pour vous. N'attend nous.
Bonjour tout le monde. Et on dit nous bienvenue causer santé with Hana. So comme nous connaissons chaque samedi matin, Hana branché, nous là sur 1580 AM, 99.5 FM pour nous venir porter information de causes de santé qu'a fait par la communauté. So me salue tout le monde et moi dis nous aller yon membre de famille, yon amis, di yo vinn brancher sur cause de santé sur 1580 AM avec Hana. So m'a dit tout le monde merci pour tout si pour nous, tout le monde qui toujours les radio, tout le monde qui toujours et fait nos compliments et sur Facebook et you can tune in. So Facebook, if you're not close to a radio, you can just go on Facebook and you can see us live as we do the show today. So, mabdi tout moun qui te fait donation towards tout event que Hana fait, moi toujours dit tout moun thank you for your support et nous toujours besoin de support nous, we still need your support. Et tant que pour show faut nous payer radio pour show nous gain office faut nous payer bill dans office là et tout l'autre travail émission que Hana fait chaque jour lui coûter l'argent. So nous toujours à chercher sponsors. So second monde yo ou ta aimer sponsoriser Hana ou ta ou gain un business ou ta aimer just faire une donation pour Hana ou capable aller dans website Hana, it's www.hanaofflorida.org and wap click bouton qui dit donate and wap faire une donation et pour Hana ou capable le téléphone Hana dans 305 609 et 74 98 sous ta remè parler avec un monde pour ta remè plus information et sous ta remè passer dans office Hana. Our office is located in North Miami Beach. Nous dans North Miami Beach. Adresse et office là, c'est 1872 Northeast 171 Street. That's 1870 Northeast 171st Street in North Miami Beach. Ito, I want to also let you know, to tout le monde qui connaît, chaque mois d'octobre, Culture Night. Hey, gros affaire ça. I am excited. Moi excité m'bagaton. So if you used to participate ou qu'on participer dans soirée culturelle avec Hana, ou connaissez gros affaire, bel plaisir pour tout le monde. Rad culturel, mesdames yo, chercher rad culturel nou, rad qui représente pays nou, messieurs yo chercher belle chemise culturelle nou qui représente en Anessa nou gen can I say it? Can I say who's going to be there? Est-ce que m'a dit qui est cap là? On m'a dit.
Est-ce qu'on dit vraiment?
M'a dit parce que faut communauté a connaît pour yo ka vini pour yo vinn pour un plaisir et pour yo vinn supporter Hana. Anessa n'a gagné tonton Bisha.
Yes. Tonton Bisha in the building.
Yeah, tonton Bisha dit Anessa faut vinn supporter Hana. Faut vinn na Hana Anessa. So n'a gagné tonton Bisha qui c'est cap of course nous connaissons le café pas besoin de communauté parce que he is a legend in the community with his a big entertainer, c'est un gros artiste dans la communauté. So pour tout le monde qui a écouté n'a pas nous. But of course, c'est un fundraiser qu'il y a, c'est une façon pour nous raise fund, pour nous faire de l'argent, pour nous continuer le travail là, because nous avons 39 ans à faire travail ça dans la communauté, 39 years. Il y a des gens qui ont écouté nous là, qui quand même fait. Il y a des gens qui ont écouté nous qui ont quand même fait. Depuis Hana a travaillé dans la communauté, oh, pour qu'on fait, oui, c'est bien vrai. Depuis Hana a fait travail dans la communauté, so, Tikeo is going to be this year. It's going to be $75 pour grand monde et pour venir dans ticket a ou joindre plaisir ou les mesdames yo a préparé une belle pièce théâtre vous connaissez chaque année nous toujours
C'est ça. Tonton, it's not just Tonton Bichard. Cultural night is a very fun, entertaining
Exactly.
night. It's full of theater. It's full of poetry. It may be some singing, some dancing. Un pile bagay kap fet na cultural night. So ticket ou achete a pas seulement pour fundraising, but ou vin jouer tête, ou vin non nuit culturelle kap fò sonje l'autre dans pays.
Histoire pays ou parce que m'tendez et nous gagné Dr. Naomi Merville and of course who always
the playwright.
The playwright. So m'tendez
the writer.
Belle pièce théâtre préparée pour nous cap parler de histoire et nous toujours porter une pièce théâtre culturelle qui parlait de l'histoire de Haïti, the history of Haiti. So, Anessa, it's excited. And, Gombagay nous pas mentionné, mesdames.
Qui ça?
The fashion show.
Ooh. And guess, and wait. Not only are we just having a fashion show, guess who is coordinating the fashion show?
What do you?
Should I say it? Okay, I'll share it. Mimi's Boutique.
Wow.
She actually coordinated our fashion show last year. She did a phenomenal job by bringing so many different Haitian designers to our cultural night. And we look forward to another fun, fashionable, exotic event again with our fashion show. Listen, cultural night, it's full of all different kind of things for everyone to come and enjoy. So, tampouy, achete ticket ya, sipote, m'garanti ou pas regret vini na culture.
Not to mention one more thing.
Yes.
The fascinating Haitian food that we
Ooh,
will have.
manger,
yes,
of course.
Manger pays.
So, c'est gros affaire.
Yes.
So, n'aptan nous, et qui date la, mesdames, comme, c'est 7 octobre, et c'est 7 octobre, dans Miami-Dade College, qui c'est dans Miami-Dade College, et 7 octobre, samedi 7 octobre, Miami-Dade College, North Campus. Et pour tout le monde qui connaît qui campus m'a parlé, et c'est campus qui est dans 119 là, 27e Avenue. That is the big campus, the campus Pano. So, in North Miami, à 6h d'après-midi until 10h du soir. So, nous avons pile temps. Vini bonnet pour qu'on enjoy tout plaisir, pour qu'on enjoy tout ça nous avons pour nous porter. So, samedi 7 octobre, dans Miami-Dade College, North Campus, nous avons gagné Culture Night with Hana. M'kwe ça va faire nous c'est combien 8e, the 8th, the 10th.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we're
The
celebrating
10th
the 10th anniversary.
Yes, the 10th.
Changer premier à nous te fait premier nous te fait c'était dans Holy Family Auditorium.
Oh,
Nous te
wow.
fait-
I wasn't
yes,
here yet.
Yes. The first two that we did,
Yeah.
you know, et nous dit merci à Holy Family Church qui te ouvri porte yo pour nous. Laisse à nous te à peine à commencer and then nous communauté à répondre and then auditorium not even trop petit and then of course nous dit merci Miami-Dade who's always a huge supporter of Hana. Te ouvri porte yo and then we've been in Miami-Dade
Ever
since.
since,
All
yes.
right, so we're going to get into the show to talk. Et me dit tout le monde qui branché, merci parce que vous branchez, really, parce que nous avons un bagay qui est très important. As you guys know, school just reopened.
Yes.
L'école à peine ouvri. Ti moun yo are back to school. And one of the reason why we're doing today's show and the topic of today is because, of course, this month also is a month to bring awareness to childhood obesity. And we wanted to talk about that because son problème que nous en pile et dans communauté a and even dans famille nous tout. So obese dans ti moun et petit and adolescent, you know, kids from the age of 2, 3, well, you know, maybe from 5 years old all the way up to, you know, 21. So that's your adolescence. So we want to talk about it because nous connaît in the research, especially the CDC and the American Pediatric Association, vle pour nous prêter attention sur ça. Because ouais ti moun qui gen 10 ans, 11 ans, 9 ans, a parlé nan docteur with illnesses, maladie qui supposé maladie grand monde.
Oui.
Yeah,
so
so
ça yo pour qu'on y a notre Simone l'âge, you know, from 10, 11 up until 19 years old is things that diseases that we should be seeing in adults. So it's very concerning. It's actually something that when Michelle Obama was the first lady, she was very passionate about it, and that was her initiative. She started this Let's Move campaign because she wanted to bring awareness. C'était vraiment important pour moun tant que nous, noirs, Hispanics, everybody, pour yo vin comprendre que ti moun nou yo commencé. You know, they're putting on these weight. They have these weights that they should not be having. This unhealthy weight that can cause damage to them later on, and even at the moment that they're unhealthy now. So it's very important that we discuss it. Réellement important pour nous discuter pour communauté haïtienne nous connaît que nous avons un problème et faut nous attaquer problème là pour les cas bénéficier nous demain.
Yes. So, well, we're going to start. We didn't introduce, you know, don't commencer conversation. We start talking and get excited about Culture Night, but we have to introduce. So first, of course, women qui saute parler là, c'est Miss Samantha Hilaire. She's a past president, there you go. Better claim it. She's a past treasurer, past chair of education, and also
past chair of activities,
and past chair of activities. And also a nurse practitioner. So welcome, Sam.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to discussing this healthy topic. Let's go ahead and dialogue on it and make the community aware.
Exactly. And of course, nous gagnons avec nous tout dans studio, Miss Martine Gordon, Godot. Right? She's the current assistant treasurer for Hana.
Yes.
She's also past co-chair of activities for Hana. So welcome, Martine.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I cannot wait to tackle childhood obesity. This is a passion of mine because this is what I see at the hospital when I work with my pediatrics with cardiac issues. So I'm happy to go ahead and discuss.
Awesome. So, Sam ap commencer avant. Est-ce que pour auditeur nou yo k'ap koute nou la, auditeur auditrice k'ap koute nou la, lè nou di childhood obesity ou obèse nan ti moun, you know, parce que nous toujours, surtout pour nous-mêmes, nous aimons ouais les petits moun yo plein, les petits moun nan plein, les petits moun nan nous.
Et si yo pas plein assez, n'a pas yo si wow, pour yo vin pi gros toujours.
Exactly. But what is childhood obesity?
So childhood obesity, to just make it plain and simple, is having an unhealthy amount of body fat. Right? So that means que vraiment pas kon ki j'aime pour dire en créole ou t'a dit tant que le childhood obesity c'est les ti moun gen trop poids sous li, right? Yo gen graisse sous yo qui plus que normal. Ça veut dire lo alou un docteur, so alou un pédiatrie, right? Et puis qu'on y a là yo vinn di petit ou un ti jan trop gros. Ça veut dire que ti moun sa gen un pile graisse dans corps yo que yo qui pas normal. Et sou pas faire un bagay qu'on y a pour aider ti moun nan perdi poids pour le ka vin normal, then li ka vin ajouter sou ti moun nan futur.
Yes. That's a great way to put it. So Martine, some explique qui sa childhood obesity is obèse nan ti moun, mais qui sa qui ka cause ça, qui risque, what are the risk factors and qui ka cause your ti moun vin obèse?
Okay, first I'm going to discuss the causes. The causes can be les petits moun n'a pas fait assez activité la caille ou bien dans l'école ou bien parents y a fait un pile manger qui gagne un pile graisse là-dedans ou bien il ka c'est des fois yo stress yo stress parce que vous connaissez they have standards to look up to when it goes for school like they have parental stress as in the parents are also stressing them. Now we say the parents are stressing them because the parents have an expectation of their child, and sometimes the child do not understand that.
Right.
And that can be some of the causes, or it can be sometimes some of the medications that the child is taking. And sometimes, we want to help our child, nous voulons aider petit nous, but médicament also c'est un facteur qui a fait yo prend poids sous pas monétairement ou bien sous pas dit docteur à ça like bébé petit moi commencer médicament ça moi la prend un petit poids. And then that way they'll be able to decrease the dose or change the medication and etc. Now some of the risk factors can be again family factors, it can be genetics. It can be that, the mama avec papa, non famille, gen un pile moun ki gwo, so ça vini sou petit là. It can be because lack of education as well. Parents pas connaît, petit là pas connaît, and you pas fait, parents pas stressé, like the importance of exercising.
Right.
Parce que ou gen ti moun ki le yo lakay, you aime TV, you aime
The
jouer
screen
game.
time.
Exactly.
The screen time.
But parents pas pay attention like, okay, si ti moun not watch TV pour 3 ans, 4 ans, ça c'est un problème because you pas fait exercise, they're not moving, you just sit dans seul space, you have manger, you have boire, you have manger candy, and then you have
video
game, you have shit là pour 4 hours, 5 hours, but si you watch TV pour 1 hour et puis non l'autre 3 hours, you have fait sport, you have exercise,
You have joué.
You have joué, then it will be better.
Parce que nous-mêmes, nous qu'on a joué dehors, ap courir, monter,
Of
descendre.
course. Mes amis, gen des photos, m'kon wè lem ti moun di, mes amis, gade ki j'aime te sexy vraiment. Ou kompren mwen? Parce que maman te gon jen, ton ko chaque matin lè nan l'école, c'est marcher l'école.
Exactly.
And we would walk literally 2, 3, 4 blocks to go to school. So we'd walk to school, we'd walk home, and then lem rive la kay. M'pa gen temps pour télévision, mes amis, parce que boss l'église la vin pour moi, mal nan répétition, m'te activité, n'a danser dans l'église, n'a chanter dans l'église, n'a courir dans l'église là, et puis là nous rive la kay nous 9h 10h du soir là pour nous aller dormir, vous comprenez? So we stayed active. We stayed active. We did not have time to watch television. We did not have time to be on the iPad because our parents was instrumental in making sure we were more outside than inside the house.
That is true, but the thing is that the generation is different today.
Yeah, génération
See, because back then that was the same thing for me. Right now, you look at society, you're not gonna let your child walk 2 to 3, 4 blocks no more.
Yeah, by your danger.
Yes, parce que but il y a l'autre activité ou ka faire avec ti moun like lorsque travail ou bien les week-ends ou ka non pas avec petite là. Ou bien l'on faire manger instead of on connaît haïtien nous aime manger di riz si nous pas gen di riz avec sauce pois ou bien gros légumes
nous va parler
No, not paleo, but physical literacy, right? Definitely.
Yes.
You're
We
teaching
have
them
to.
active to be active, the
Active.
requirements to be active so that you can stay healthy. That's
Yeah,
definitely.
exactement.
And I wanted to tackle something on the food. I know you spoke a little bit on the unhealthy choices, but spécialement dans culture haïtienne, nous ou comprendre gen de manger nous bay ti moun yo konya quand même y a conseil yo pas normal vraiment là n'a ba yo pain à café chaque matin ou comprendre là n'a ba yo diri chaque jour qui gen un pile graisse là-dedans.
We're gonna tackle the food part.
The cultural food is definitely healthy food is definitely something that
that's
can
very-
cause childhood obesity besides the
Unhealthy
lack
food, yeah.
unhealthy food besides on top of the not being active as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna stay. You can continue to talk, but parler des complications.
Oh my
Que yon
gosh.
ti moun qui il met ti moun nan te met gen 9 ans, 8 ans depuis konya ni ti fi ni ti garçon. What are some of the complications that yon ti moun qui obese qui parents pas tackle that right now, right? That can happen to them.
Un pile bagay ki arrive yon ti moun ki obèse vraiment, li ka vin gen sucre, right? Type 2 diabetes. Son bagay nou wè un pile génération ti moun sa yo komanse genye, yo ka vin gen tension ka vin yon ti jan wou vraiment. So the typical things that an adult who is obese would have, we would now be seeing it in a child who is obese. So you're looking at diabetes, you're looking at high cholesterol, when they draw their labs, you're looking at elevated blood pressure, On top of that, you're looking at joint pain, bone pain. You know, there was one time I even took my son when he was a little. He wasn't obese, but he was overweight. So when I went to his annual visit, the doctor said to me, "If you look how he's standing, right? Because my son is tall, his dad is 6'4", so he's gonna be a tall kid. But then the doctor said, when you look at the way that your son is standing, if you look at his knees, they're kind of turned inward a little bit, and it's because of the fact that he is overweight. So if you don't tackle this now, then he's going to have a lot of bone issues, a lot of joint issues as he gets older. So you know, those are the things that can of course occur. Another thing, le ti moun nan on lâche ti moun kon sa vraiment la l'école gen des pression qui ka privé ti moun nan parce que ça l'a passé l'école. Bullying is a big deal. Over 50% of children who are overweight or obese get bullied in school. Right? Because that is not the norm. Obviously, kids are cruel. We know that. It's, you know, and so we can't control sometimes as parents what happens in the school.
Regardez ti petit New York là qui te tué tête li, ti moun 13 ans. Yon ti fi. She committed suicide because ti moun yo dans l'école là ta bully après les laid, après les fat.
Exactement.
Après les, you know, pas qui vie
non qui pas bon vraiment et puis tout ti moun nan tout la bully li comme ça, li ka vinn gon dépression. Mes amis konya depression is something that is, you know, where I'm so glad we're talking more about it, but nous réellement well in ti moun yo in the children, the adolescent parce que donc on ti moun qui overweight à l'école et l'autre ti moun ap really l'autre ti moun ap di rat ki jan go kat ki jan rad la chita sou li yo et pas quand même entrer non rad, you know, li vraiment ka réagir on ti moun ki obese, ki overweight, so that when le rive la kay lo wè ti moun nan pa vle ri ava ou bien ou wè ti moun nan rete nan cham li, that's depression, you know, that's a apathetic lifestyle. And so, you know, those are the typical things that can happen to a child who is obese, and that's the reason why we should not ignore it as adults, especially with our kids.
And you touch on that, but Martine, can you add on to the mental impact, the social impacts against Sutimunda?
As far as the social, the mental and social, as Samantha mentioned before, is socially they get bullied. Socially they get bullied because the way they look. To a child, you know, you can be slim, but once you are bigger than the average slim person, you're fat, you're this, you're that, and that can cause the child to go into a depression.
And not to cut you off, but c'est pas seul ti moun nan l'école là. Gen des fois c'est family,
absolutely,
famille après les gars gros sel. Exactly. Ou semblon ti c'est ci, ou semblon ti c'est là.
That's true. And it's funny because you don't experience bullying in school, but you also experience it in home because when you get parents,
yo pa la ti moun
pour yo pa penser yo a critiquer ti petit là, but
et c'est même parents ça ka bay ti moun nan diri chaque soir.
Exactly. So it can be it's like you getting bullied at school, you getting bullied at home, but mentally you start to have a low self-esteem. You start to look at yourself as ugly. You start to look at yourself, oh, you know what? Maybe society is right. Ou commence à believe you, yes.
Ou commence à croire que ou laid, ou fat.
Exactly.
Ou pas jamais.
Exactly. So that becomes a problem because c'est là ça you vle traiter toi. C'est là ça they wanna, you know, they think that they don't belong. So that's when you I felt what by a guy. You're so today, instead of getting help for their own parents or friends, the parents is the one that's calling them fat. Friends in school are also agreeing, so they get help they go get help otherwise, but the other place they go get help at is causing them to go ahead and, you know, want to commit suicide. They do drugs, they start to belittle themselves, they start to sleep around, and for the little girls especially, they start to sleep around, they start to belittle themselves, and that's not the key. But if we were to support them and tell them what is good versus bad and what to eat versus what not to eat, maybe they'll be a little more apprehensive on, okay, you know what? I'm not going to eat this. I'm not, let's try this diet. Let's try this. And
let's be the example.
Exactly.
As the adult,
Exactly.
as the
Exactly.
parent that's raising the child, we need to be the example.
Exactly.
Ça veut dire, si nous besoin de moun nan perdre poids, nous même tout faut nous manger bien, pour nous pour ti moun nous ouais, pour petit nous yo ouais ça n'a manger. Vous comprenez moi, si ou pas manger bien, then petit ou on pas suivre ou vraiment. So c'est nous même comme parents qui lever ti moun sa yo, c'est nous-mêmes qui exemple et c'est nous-mêmes qui pour montrer petit ça qui gens pour manger vraiment.
Yeah, so that's a very important point that you made, Sam. And then ou te mentionné des initiatives Michelle Obama.
Yes,
Elle te-
let's
elle
move.
te dans White House là, you know, as First Lady, chaque première dame toujours gagne une initiative, puis, you know, pendant Mario in the White House, pendant Mario président. And then Michelle Obama initiative li c'était Let's Move.
Yes.
And il t'a parlé de Timon, c'est ça fait nous te toujours ouais li dans télévision, nous li dans Disney Channel, Nickelodeon.
He did
you
partner
know,
with different celebrities.
Celebrities, and then li te même commencé une campagne pour changer
Juste ya
mange-
bay,
yo
nan
bay ti moun yo nan l'école yo,
cafeteria,
nan
yes,
cantine nan l'école yo.
yes.
So, but, depuis li vin pa la encore, ça toujours là, gen an pile l'école qui toujours participer, parce que m'kwe te gon époque, yo te même retiré dans
PE,
l'école,
physical education.
PE, physical education.
Yeah.
Yo
But
te
they brought
retiré
it
là.
back.
Yeah.
You know, m'chonge moi-même, lem te timoun, lem te l'école, m'te fait high school Bahamas. You had to have, that was part of your
That was
requirement.
mandatory.
Yeah.
Ça il était mandatory, so pas complete your PE, ou pas can graduate.
Right.
But then you te vin retirer ça à l'école. So anyway, là fait nous défaut for nous faire, we're going to take a quick break. Et m'ta remen di si on moun ta remen participer dans conversation, of course, ou capable relais station, c'est 305 945 1580. That is 305 945 1580. And sous dans Broward County, c'est 954 792 1580. That's 954 792 1580. So we're going to take a quick break. We are back with Cause Santé with Hana. So, nous, jeudi, on a parlé de childhood obesity. So, on va nous continuer la conversation again. Moi, t'ai invité toute communauté à to Hana Culture Night, qu'a fait 7 octobre, dans Miami-Dade College, North Campus. Et la Miami-Dade College, North Campus, we're going to have a fashion show. Nap gagné a artiste panel, celebrity panel, entertainer extraordinaire, Tonton Bicha, cap host, and of course cap Tonton Bicha. Et nap gagné une belle pièce et théâtre,
Yes.
cultural théâtre, and of course fashion show et manger. So moi toujours dit son donation à faire leur payer pour que n'importe activité Hana fait, it's a donation to the organization, to the association for us to continue, pour nous continuer le travail qu'on a fait dans la communauté, pour nous continuer show ça tout, because si nous pas qu'à payer radio a un bill, nous pas qu'à continuer. So the tickets are $75 for adults, and c'est 4 pour neve là.
Yes,
Okay,
4 pour
excusez.
neve.
Ça n'a fait bien bonnet parce que c'est dans Miami-Dade College Campus, vous connaissez yo banolé. So 4 pour 9, n'a dit tout le monde vinn bonnet parce que me connaît nous gain habitude n'a venir à 8h. N'a fashion n'a dit au côté tout ça nous te promettre nous pas gain. So show a commencé depuis à 4h nous vini mingle faire photo by black, and then show a commencé pièce théâtre la fashion show en pile belle bagaille. So en pile belle plaisir. So t'as aimé plus information, you can call Hana ou capable les office Hana, numéro téléphone nous c'est 305 609 74 98. That's 305 609 7498. Ou capable visiter office nous. Ou d'aller acheter ticket. Ou capable aller dans office là, c'est 1870 Northeast 171st Street, c'est 1870 Northeast 171 Street dans North Miami Beach, Florida. So, and of course today's show is of course toujours brought to you by the members of Hana, and Hana who contribute to the affairs of Hana. We love and appreciate you guys. Shout out to
We
Team
do.
Hana.
We
And
love
of
you.
course, and to moi vle di, on va nou kontinue konversasyon. If you are in out ou deyon, ou ta reme participe nan yon health fair, Hana is at the Little Haiti Culture Center. Nou nan Little Haiti Culture Center ki nan 59th Street, Northeast 2nd Avenue, nan Little Haiti, avec Pearls of Life Women Foundation Health Fair. So, gen pil bled plezi mte pase anvan vin la, an pil moun, an pil vendeur, manje, plezi, bay pou ti moun, back to school, supply toujou, because nou konen ti moun your supply is never enough. So stop by Little Haiti Culture Center to support Hana and Pearls of Life and Women's Foundation and all the other organizations ki la hapa, la tou ap ton nou sant lan, et la nap ton nou nan Little Haiti Culture Center. So we're going to continue the conversation about childhood obesity. Sam, ou mentionne kek bagay ke paran yo ka fe, ki lot bagay yon paran ka fe depi konya, même si ti moun nan, y mette gen 2 ans, 3 ans, pour prevent obesity in the child.
Yeah, so tant comme te dit déjà, healthy eating, ça veut dire manger. Nous faut nous commencer à manger à premièrement. Nous ta supposé introduire tant que fruits et végétables.
Depuis ti moun nan ti moun.
Depuis ti moun nan petit, depuis ti moun nan you know, from the moment they're born, really. You know, I mean, you know, you need to introduce fruits and vegetables, you know, limiting sodas, limiting sweet drinks.
Bay douce koule, bay d'eau sucré mwen le yo. Sa yo pa ji.
Passion fruit juice yo que nous aimons, right? But we need to limit that.
Bay koule yo, ti bay koule, you know those things, the little jug things.
Oh, no, not Kool-Aid. The little jug things that they sell for like, yeah, the
Bay sa
plastic
se
things.
sik li,
Yeah.
exactly, sik avek glou.
Yeah,
c'est ça
sik
li.
ak glou seulement. But sonje pédiatri petit moyen te di ko sa que si ou ka fè on 5 jours côté la caille ti moun nan seulement boire de l'eau, c'est ça nous ta supposé commencer à habituer avec côté c'est celle là nous parti là nous ti faire aussi dans nos dîner, yo ka bon ti jus, mais la caille là yo supposé boire plus d'eau. So de l'eau, sorry. So
Jus naturel ke ou fè pou ti moun nan.
yeah, keep having added sugar, like all that
Exactement.
processed sugar. Fast food, m'konne vraiment.
McDonald's.
M'konne là nous so travail parfois si nous prend ti moun yo nous pas senti nous vle faire manger, nous passer dans McDonald's or Burger King. Moi-même, I'm guilty of that because of the fact of the convenience of it, you know.
Yeah, but
I'm
how
not going
often
to
do
lie.
you do it though?
That's the thing. You can't do it every day. You can't even do it like limiting it, period, right?
it's
So meaning
costly.
for the most part, if you can avoid it, period, you should avoid it. Ça veut dire sou ka on fait une habitude dans ka ou côté ou pas manger fast food même, c'est ça qui meilleur. Mais you know, si son bagay que, you know, you want to wean off your child because sometimes they, you know, sugar is addictive. Eating junk food is addictive. It's a mental addiction, really. And so avec ça, you could wean it off, maybe starting off by once a week and then once every other week. And then you slowly wean off the process. But avoiding fast food. Fast food la pa bon men. Bon sou wè video ki jan fast food sa yo fè, vantou a ple. Okay? So you don't want to put those kind of junk in your children's body. So ou faut plus c'est ou même qui t'a supposé faire manger li pi bon pi meilleur bagay ou ka fait pour famille c'est ou même c'est là faire manger pour petit ou ba yo fruit pas ba yo junk food pas faire yo manger chips tout le temps. I know those Cheez-Its are convenient, those Doritos, those tacos, gon chip moun ti moun yo manger konya the Takis. Mes amis, bay sa sou e jan fait the food coloring in that food. I mean, there's so many things that's bad about junk food, but the number one thing that we as a family, as a community, comme communauté, ça nous ka fait pour nous aider ti moun yo pour yo pas obèse, c'est jan nous manger, faut nous changer, jan nous manger. L'autre bagay nous ka fait is physically active, being physically active, physical literacy. Ça veut dire faut commencer pour habitude dans caillou côté ou ka fait ti moun yo jouer, faire yo faire un sport, ou ka gen sou gen petit garçon, mettez yo dans basketball, dans football, mettez yo faire un sport de l'école là parce que ça ka aider yo. Sou gen petite fille, maman, c'est ça le te kon fait avec nous le petit moun. She put me in dance groups. I was in dance group in the church and I was in a dance group in high school where I was active. Chaque jour après l'école fini mal dans répétition. So charger quelques activités même si ou même ou pas kal dehors ak petit tout, mais parfois gen programme côté la ti moun nan saute l'école ou ka tout mettre ti moun nan programme nan et c'est là yo ka vinn joindre exercise yo ka vinn faire activité yo. Et puis tout même là nous tout vinn la kay si ou sorti travail puis ti moun yo vinn la kay tout nous kal marcher dans quartier ensemble. We could go and do an hour walk or 30 minutes walk pour ka commencer montrer ti moun nan that doing exercises on a daily basis is normal. It's part of their lifestyle. It's what they grew up with. But you want to maintain active. You want to be active. You want to teach your children how to be active. And you yourself want to be active as well, you know. But of course, we're talking about childhood obesity. And pa an pil TV, let ti moun nan vin la kay, si ti moun nan gade television ou bien na iPad.
It's a video game.
4 temps, video game. I don't know what's the new thing right now, but there's a name for this addictive video game that these young boys are playing too. But you know, limited. Ça veut dire si c'est 4 temps ou faire yo chita devant télévision pour yo garder télévision bien pour yo jouer na iPad li
It's only supposed to be 1 hour.
Yeah,
the recommendation by the American Pediatric Association, I believe, is
so
1 hour.
4 temps pas normal vraiment. 1 hour a day should be fine. Gen for me même qui même pas fait during the school day, ça veut dire lundi jusqu'à vendredi.
No TV.
Pas gen télévision,
No TV, no
pas
video
gen iPad, pas gen rien comme ça.
Unless c'est le travail l'école qui va faire.
Yeah,
ça, moi,
exactement.
that's what I do at
Mais
home.
sou chita la ou kite ti moun nan sot l'école et puis chita la gade télévision. Et puis gen studies, there's a study that also shows that kids that are watching TV when they're eating food, they're eating 30% more as well. Right? So ça veut dire les manger pas c'est retirer télévision, chita non ta manger ensemble téléphone parce que sou qui te yo a manger pendant y a regarder télévision yo ka vinn manger plus. C'est ça a study that I recently read that showed as well. So you want to make sure that you do those things. So listen, sou manger bien et ou faire exercise ou montrer petit tout yo exercise, you should honestly have no problems with childhood obesity.
That's
Obesity will not be in your house.
Exactement. So Martine, I know you are a pediatric nurse. What mentionné ça au travail c'est domino, that's your specialty as a nurse. So qui les yon ou qui ça a doctor when they determine that your child is obese. Some de mentionné let's timoun docteur yo gon façon, you know, you pese poids timoun and they'll say, but what is considered? Because you can tell you que timoun overweight, but qui ça qui consideré, qui classified as obesity?
The thing is that it depends on their body mass. What the doctor's checking is their body mass. How much percentage of fat? It could be 20%, 10%, based on their weight and based on their height and stuff like that. So because a child can be 16 years old, 5'6", and weigh 150 pounds. That's obese. You may not think it's obese, but it's obese. But if the child is 16 years old, 5'6", and weigh 118, 119, that's a normal size for a child or for a teenage girl. For a boy, if he's 5'6" and he weighed 125, 130, that is the average size for him because the boy has more muscle, like they have more muscle mass than a female does. The female body frame is much smaller than a boy, so we can expect the boy to weigh more. And then other stuff that the doctor look at, the doctor check it, the family history. Does the family history, does it have diabetes that runs in the family, or does high cholesterol runs in the family as well? The doctor will also look at, you know, is that child active? What does the child do on a daily basis? How is that child sleeping? Because sometimes sleeping cause a big factor, because if the child is not getting enough sleep, then it's going to also cause them to gain weight.
Right.
Yeah.
And they also look at what is the child doing on a daily basis. You know, like, are they stressed at school or are they stressed at home? How are their parents involved in their life? Because sometimes the child is not eating fat, the child is sleeping okay, the child is doing a lot of activities, but they're stressed, but they're depressed. That also cause them to gain weight.
That's going to be another conversation, depression in kids.
Yes.
Because,
And to better explain BMI pour tout moun ki réellement anglais an ti jan pas tellement là vraiment yet. Body mass index là c'est ton calculation un docteur fait, une calculation que
Ni pour grand monde et ti moun.
pour grand monde et ti moun. Les yo dit que petit ou li gen 3 poids. Ça veut dire son calculation yo fait gon formula que yo utilisé et dans calculation yo prend combien ti moun nan pesé et hauteur ti moun nan et ça dépend. So si ti moun nan pesé on pile poids et puis hauteur li tout yo mettez tout là dans calculation et c'est comme ça là yo fin faire calculation yo vinn dire vraiment si ti moun nan obèse, si ti moun nan overweight. Now overweight là différent que obèse. So depuis yo dit petit tout en overweight, ça veut dire OK, il peut ko obèse mais sous pas faire en action la vinn river dans obèse.
So that's how when you go to the pediatrician, you know, let Simon Moyo ten l'âge pour y aller pediatrician. You number guy, you know, my pediatrician, shout out to her, my former pediatrician, shout out to her, Susan Leitner, and of course from Pediatric Association years ago. And il te toujours mandé Timonio qui activité qui sport que Timonio and she would always il te toujours dit for Timonio active, you know, let's say Timonio te nan dance and sometimes you know they play basketball. Basically to Lona, you know, my oldest, she was very active, she loves sports like a mommy. So Timonio te kon fè this, and then when they even in a large teenager, you want Timonio you pa vle, you know, she said no, you have to be active. So one of the things nous te kon toujours ouais depuis gen programme Hana, my kids were always with me. Yo te toujours participer dans tout programme, so I keep them active. You fais activité dans l'église non et tout. So you have to keep the kid active. And one of the things, you know, like what you said, Sam, and what Martine said, the reason why we're talking about this is ouais yon ti moun ki gen 11 ans qui fait tension tant qu'on yon grand monde. Ou ap gade ti moun nan m'chonge un ti petit un ti garçon, ti petit la gen 11 ans, li gen 11 ans, écoutez ça m'abdou là. Ti moun gen 11 ans, li pèse 135 livres, li fait cycle, li fait tension.
Yeah.
And then wap gade maman, ou ta di okay, peut-être c'est famille qui obese, you take it from the family. The mommy looks like me. She's small like me, small frame like me. And then moun na di, toute la journée la mange, ou met dil pal nan frigidaire, li nan frigidaire, wash ton galon jodi ya, demain si devil get a fini. But you control that.
And I know
you allow that.
It's not easy because even for me, you know, when I go to the doctor with my son and they said that he was overweight, you know, and you go home and the first thing you see ou et si moun nan fè l'orive la kay, il ouvre frigidaire, li pon jus pour boire, li réellement fait mal comme un maman pour dire petit tout non ou pas qu'à boire ça boire de l'eau plutôt parce que ou t'a vle petit tout manger boire ça vle mais là vraiment penser c'est pour futur petit tout parce que ou gen des bagages ou fait même l'elle fort mal comme maman la bénéfice petit tout dans futur là gen des bagages faut dire non because you don't want your child to grow up to have these complications and then when they get older and they have them because you did not want to hurt your child's feelings, you end up suffering because you see your child suffering.
Well, say on sense it's a discipline thing too. You have there has to be a form of discipline, and you said it yourself too. What are you putting in the fridge?
Right.
What example are you making? So if you make
now
if you that good example, you know you're drinking you're taking your intake of water intake, you're exercising, you're doing this, your child is going to see that. They're going to want to join mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
They're going to want to do
You gotta be the
more
example.
positive things.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
good example is good.
And then, of course, we all can stay healthy. We all can get
that's true.
healthy. Nous tous capables perdre poids. So, on nous fait ensemble.
Exactly.
Faire ensemble avec ti moun nan. You know, et comment c'est montrer ti moun nan, ou te mentionné Sam, they introduce giving the kids vegetables
Yeah,
before.
fruits and vegetables,
So
right.
comment say, you know, and that made me think of a story. My daughter Samantha, she loved broccoli. Timon, you know, I'm a vegetable person, so I always eat it. And I remember, I never forget that we went to Chili's one time. I think she was like 7, and we ordered, you know, Timon from the kids menu, and she said, "Can I get a side order of broccoli?" The waitress looked at her, and the waitress dit comme ça, "Oh, you sure? You don't want to get extra fries?" You know, but she's my daughter, so of course she give her response. So Samantha got it, damn lady, why? You guys don't have broccoli in this restaurant? Because
for her.
exactly. And then, but you know, to make you think, the waitress dans restaurant, lui-même t'a dit ti moun nan aussi c'est ça vrai parce qu'il connaît ti moun, c'est pas ti moun qui remet
Vegetables,
qui
vraiment.
remet vegetable. So Sam, and you know the time is running out, so we
Yes.
want to make sure we get as much information out to our community as possible. Now, once you moun ki obese, you know, parents fait tout ça le capable, et nous ap gade tant qu'on t'a gade dans TV petite là, m'kel gen 12 ans, li pèse presque 200 livres. Are there any treatment? Any treatment that the doctor can, besides, you know, dieting, exercise, est-ce que gen un traitement que yo capable bay ti moun?
So yes, gen traitement vraiment. Now it's not preferred. Usually, timoun, children, young adolescents, timoun piti, le docteur mando pour aider timoun na perdre poids, y a toujours dit commencer avec changer, jan yo manger and get active. Ça veut dire fait timoun na fait exercise. Mais sou ouais ou fait tout ça et ou fait tout ça au possible ou ka fait et ou ti moun nan vraiment pas ka perdre poids den konya la docteur a parlé des médicaments yo ka mette ti moun nan yo ka bay ti moun nan pour l'aider le perdre poids ou bien même yo ka même faire un surgery right pour aider ti moun nan perdre poids. But I will
That's
say
the
that
last resort,
that's the
right?
last resort, and it has to be when the child is close to adulthood. So usually the surgery option will happen when they're close to adulthood, 17-year-old who's
17, 18
very
ans.
obese, and now he needs the surgery to help him lose all this weight. He also has a lot of he or she, the young adolescent, also has a lot of complications with the obese weight, right? So the diabetes, the high blood pressure, right? The high
Douleur.
cholesterol, heart disease,
Yeah.
mes amis, even heart disease in these young adolescents who are obese. Once the doctor sees that this child has comorbidities, right, and they're now advancing close to adulthood, surgery and medication, it is available to assist them in losing weight. Gen bay sa yo pou ti moun ki vraiment fait tout ça capable pour aider yo perdre poids, konya yo pa ka perdre poids, docteur li même li ka mette yo ti moun nan non médicament ou bien il ka offre pour faire une opération pour ti moun nan vin perdre poids vraiment.
Mais comme on dit, m'ta remen pour communauté à connaître, ça sont dernier résultat si tout bagay que docteur yo essayé faire, parents essayé faire, and si yo ouais que obèse, you know, the fat, the graisse là ap cause ti moun nan, ou ap gade un ti moun qui gen 12 ans pèse presque 200 livres, qui gen sick, qui fait sick, qui ka prend insuline, qui gen tension, et depuis qu'on y a une bagay tout ça vient dans tête moi pour nous toujours garder tout. Et ti moun nan, même s'il pas fait ça, mais ti moun nan toujours a plein et genou fait mal,
Yeah.
senti fait mal,
joint
ti moun nan
pains,
gen joint pain
absolutely.
because poil li trop pour ti zoli parce que zoli pas encore fin formé tant qu'on yon zo grand moun. So Martin, what can we other resources, lot conseil, what other, you know, advice can you give or qui ressources que vous ka recommander dans communauté?
Well, the resource I can recommend for the community is, again, talking to your doctor. talking to your doctor, setting that good example
Or
in your
nurse
household.
practitioner. We got to sound out
Yes.
our nurse
Oh,
practitioners.
or a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant.
A provider.
A provider. You can, again, set that good example in your home, which is, once you set that good example, that child is going to lead, is going to follow it's going to follow you. You can, change your cooking habits, the way you cook your food, or what seasoning you use, because sometimes the seasoning is also a big factor. Monitor if that child is on medication, make sure that that medication is, because some medication that children are on, it affects their weight.
It affects their weight.
And you want to monitor that as well. And if you notice a difference, don't ignore it. Bring it up to the child's provider. And you want to, incorporate more exercise, more activities, instead of, less screen time at home, and just doing the things that you think, okay, you can always enjoy your life. You can eat the food you want, but you have to eat it in moderation.
Yes.
You can eat the meat, you can eat the rice, but how are you cooking the rice? Instead of white rice, how about you incorporate brown rice?
And then one thing I want to say too is stop buying the junk food.
Exactly.
Buy comment
Chicken nugget and
champagne.
French- yeah.
Acheter champagne pour ti moun yo. Acheter buy tant kou pizza, frozen pizza, mettez dans frigidaire, acheter potato chip too. Acheter buy ça yo.
Yes, you can do that. And then, okay, CPT to women chicken nugget or pizza. Ou pas besoin aller dans restaurant ou acheter ou faire li la caillou. You can moderate to a
use
better
some natural ingredients.
Montre ti
Yeah.
moun nan comment pour le faire tout. Montre ti moun nan.
Exactly.
Et parfois, l'on fait la caille, puis bon, passer l'eau à manger dans le resto.
Exactement.
So it's a lot of resources out there. It's about, are you going to ask the question? Are you willing to help your child change he or she eating habits?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is a great point. You both of you ladies, merci un pile pour belle information ça que nous partager avec communauté a. Nous te voulons parler sur ça, juste pour nous prêter attention sur ça parce que ça fait gros parole with the American Pediatric Association parce que nous voyons que Timunio are coming to the doctors et pédiatrie après ti moun yo ap gen maladie grand moun nou kon rele yo tension sik maladie care ou gen ti moun 15 ans that needs knee surgery because genou yo dommage because à cause des poids que yo gen. So c'est un bagay qui it's a serious problem, and Martine ou mentionné and Sam as well que keeping the child active. So I want to shout out to the city of North Miami. I want to shout out to the city of North Miami who just renovated their parks.
Yes.
Parks
Courtney Park,
Courtney. So gen an pile park because yo te vle retire fermer yo te gen des park yo te vle fermer yo because yo di ke moun pat nan communauté nan neighborhood yo pa participer yo. So city of North Miami, shout out to you, and North Miami Beach as well. The city of North Miami Beach, commissionnaire yo council person yo ke nou mette nan place yo yap travail ou ap gade councilwoman Timothy of North Miami Beach, in her district, Courtney Park, when mte kon habite North Miami, you should renovate the basketball court, and c'est pour ti moun yo ke yo fè ça. So utiliser park yo. Pour moun ki pa konnen, lo paye tax, lo paye property tax. On portion dans l'argent ça, c'est lui même qui aller dans park pour keep your parks. So you are basically paying for the park.
Yeah.
So use it. Allez avec ti moun yo. And then I cannot leave my city out, city of Miami Gardens. I live in East Miami Gardens, Andover. Our councilman and commissioner just renovated my park, which is Andover, and that's where I go walking. So, mesdames, thank you so much, ladies. Our time is up. Communauté a merci parce que nous te branché. Pavilion n'attend nous 7 octobre.
Yes.
7 octobre dans Miami-Dade North Campus for Hana Culture Night.
10th annual culture
Oh,
night.
mes amis,
Vini, invite famille, invite zami, achete Kevin.
Yeah, for Miami-Dade di nou ke place la trop petit.
Yes.
Parce que nous voulons plein. For
Yes,
Miami-Dade di
yes.
Hana,
Vite
l'autre année cherchons l'autre côté qui pi gros parce
Nuit
que
culturelle.
Exactly. And Tonton Bicha ap la. Communauté a
Mimi's
vin wè
boutique.
Tonton Bicha 4 à 9 North Miami. And shout out to Team Hana, kap koute nou ki branche sou Facebook, ki branche sou radio. Shout out to Dr. Gerna Blow, Malou, my co-chair of education, Jessie Désir, Madame Président Katiana Saint-Thomas, Cécile, et tout l'autre mam yo kap koute nou. Naptan nou l'autre samedi, Cause Santé with Hana on 1580 AM. Blessed Saturday tout le monde. Allez dans Little Haiti Culture Center. I'll enjoy the health fair.
Bye-bye,
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Is WSRF 1580 AM W258CZ 99.5 FM Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Palm Beach and the Bahamas.
Résident Miami-Dade produit sulfate chaque jour. Yon bon valet là-dedans c'est plastique qui va arrêter dans l'environnement nous longtemps après nous finaler. Fait partie solution éliminer plastique moun utilisé yon seule fois. Apprendre plus dans miamidade.gov/plasticfree305.
Clinique Dr. François Moïse chouké dans 5015 Hollywood Boulevard dans Hollywood, Florida. Bamdio, Dr. François Moïse gon green slogan. Maladie haïtien, docteur haïtien. Et si vous cherchez un docteur qui gagne conscience professionnelle, qui responsable, qui compétent ak en pile expérience, fait choix qu'on y a même Dr. François Moïse. Dr. François Moïse c'est un spécialiste dans traitement maladie diabète ak maladie tension ou même que maladie tension avec sucre ap tout foné, cherchez rapido presto clinique Dr. François Moïse qui chouke dans 5015 Hollywood Boulevard, Hollywood, Florida. Li accepte toute qualité assurance, même si ou tout tourné. Dr. Moïse décroché certificat 5 étoiles dans mes deux plus gros compagnies managed care ici aux États-Unis pour gérer maladie chronique yo. Clinique Dr. Moïse by service immigration et puis transportation nous gratis. Relais pour un rendez-vous 954 237 64 09 954 237 64 09. Dr. François Moïse.
Accident pas de klaxon. Sous ta fait un accident automobile, choisis All Collision qui gagne plus que 20 ans la rangée auto. All Collision travaille avec équipement moderne, dernier cri. Machine te met tourner un accordéon, y a mettre le tout neuf. All Collision travaille avec toute compagnie d'assurance. Y a tourné machine là, mettez-le dans storage sans tête chargée. Adresse 5725 Southwest 42e côte, Davie, Florida 33314. Téléphone 305 564 25 55. Pas oublier non 305 564 25 55.
Tout zanmi dans la communauté, c'est Ernst Louis Jacques, zanmi nous depuis tout temps. Moi, je viens rappeler nous, numéro ça encore, 754 214 23 45. Moi, je voulais nous relève jeudi à même dans 754 214 23 45. Nous connaissons connecté avec compagnie qui a plus passé 50 ans depuis à bail service santé et puis compagnie ça yo couvrir tout le pays. Si vous avez Medicare, si parents ont Medicare, si vous prenez 65 ans, moi là pour m'aider, moi là pour me chita avec vous, pour me donner toute explication pour capable faire choix qui pi bon pour monde qui a Medicare là. Tant pis, relez-moi 754 214 23 45. Zamion pour tout temps, Ernst Louis Jacques.
Ernst Louis Jacques sont agent assurance licencié dans l'État Floride. Relève 754 214 23 45. C'est 754 214 23 45.
The following is an independently produced program. The views expressed within are not those of WSRF 1580 AM, their staff, or management, but are strictly those of the hosts, guests, and callers.
Frem, Sem, sous besoin louer yon kay, sous besoin acheter yon kay, sous besoin vendre yon kay, sous besoin mortgage, sous besoin vendre ou acheter un business, choisis Point du Jour Realty et Best Western Mortgage qui chita dans la communauté a depuis 1997 jusqu'à aujourd'hui. C'est une équipe professionnelle qui a accompagné du commencement jusqu'à la fin. Relais Point du Jour Realty au Best Western Mortgage dans 305 944 5000 ou bien passez côté yo dans 1510 Northeast 62e rue North Miami Beach, Florida 33 162. Pour toutes affaires louer, acheter, mortgage, vendre kay ou bien vendre ou acheter un business, pas fait tête due. Relais Point du Jour Realty et Best Western Mortgage dans 305 944 5000 ou bien passez ouais yo dans 1510 Northeast 62e rue North Miami Beach, Florida 33 162. Zaford déjà réglé sans tête chargée.